Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that right now, yes, in this very moment, you are connected to a source that never runs dry? What if I told you that abundance is not seasonal, not dependent on the economy, not based on what's in your bank account, but rooted in the unshakable truth that God is your lifeline? Think about a tree planted by rivers of water. It doesn't wither in drought. It doesn't break in storms. It flourishes in every season. Why? Because its roots are connected to a constant, unstoppable flow. That is what happens when you realize God is my lifeline. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in the middle of a desert. The sand stretches endlessly in every direction. The sun beats down with relentless intensity, and your throat is dry with thirst. Everything around you screams of barrenness, of lack, of emptiness. Yet beneath your feet, hidden from sight, there is a river flowing strong and steady. You may not see it on the surface, but it is there. That river is unshakable. It cannot be dried up by the sun. It cannot be stolen by the wind, and it cannot be diminished by human effort. This is what it means to declare that God is your lifeline, the unshakable source of supply, abundance, and provision. Every person on this earth has moments where life feels like that desert. Finances seem tight, opportunities seem scarce, relationships feel strained, and hope appears distant. The human instinct is to look outward for solutions to the economy, to people, to circumstances, or to systems. Yet, every one of those outward sources is limited. The economy rises and falls. People change their minds. Opportunities shift and systems collapse. But when your source is God, you tap into something that cannot be shaken. His supply is infinite. His provision is eternal, and his abundance flows endlessly. Think of a well. A well dug into shallow ground may dry up in a season of drought, but a well dug deep into underground streams will continue to yield water no matter the conditions above. In the same way, when your connection is shallow, tied only to visible circumstances, your sense of security will dry up quickly. But when you are deeply connected to God as your lifeline, you draw from an underground river that never fails. No drought can touch it, no famine can weaken it, no crisis can empty it. There is a peace that comes from knowing your source is unshakable. Most of the anxiety people carry about money, success, or the future comes from trusting unstable sources. If you believe your job is your only provider, you will fear losing it. If you believe people are your only promoters, you will worry when they turn their backs. If you believe the economy is your only supply, you will panic when it shifts. But when you know deep in your soul that God is your lifeline, your peace cannot be taken away. You can stand in the desert and still feel the security of the river beneath your feet. This truth is not just about survival. It is about thriving. An unshakable source is not limited to giving you just enough. God is not a God of barely enough. He is the God of more than enough. The one who makes cups overflow. The one who multiplies loaves and fishes. The one who brings water out of a rock in the wilderness. To call him your lifeline is to understand that abundance is not a far-off dream, but a present reality. Even when appearances suggest lack, the deeper truth is that supply is already flowing. This is why faith becomes so vital. Faith is the bridge between what you see on the surface and what you know to be true beneath it. The world may present itself as barren, but faith anchors you to the unseen river. Faith declares, God is my lifeline. My source cannot fail. My provision is guaranteed. This declaration shifts your focus from fear to confidence, from despair to expectation, from lack to abundance. Consider the story of a tree planted by rivers of water. Storms may come, winds may blow, seasons may change, but the tree remains strong because its roots are anchored in the flow of the river. It does not depend on rainfall from the sky. It depends on the river beneath. In the same way, when you make God your lifeline, you are no longer dependent on the rainfall of circumstances. You are rooted in something deeper, something permanent, something that sustains you regardless of external changes. This truth is liberating because it removes the power of fear. When you live connected to God as your unshakable source, you no longer fear recessions, downturns, or losses. You no longer fear rejection or betrayal because you know your supply does not come from people. You no longer fear the unknown future because the lifeline you are connected to is eternal, unchanging, and faithful. That kind of assurance brings a boldness to your life, a confidence that cannot be shaken, and a courage to step into opportunities, knowing you are supported by a supply that cannot fail. It also transforms the way you see generosity. When people think their resources are limited, they hold tightly to what they have, clinging to it in fear. But when you recognize that God is your lifeline, you understand that supply is continuous. Giving does not deplete you. It positions you for greater flow. The river never stops, and your role is simply to remain connected, to keep your roots deep, and to allow that abundance to pass through your life into the lives of others. There will always be voices around you trying to convince you otherwise. Voices that say resources are scarce, that opportunities are limited, that you must compete and fight for your share. But when you live with the consciousness that God is your lifeline, you know there is no competition for what is already yours. You do not need to strive in desperation, because you are connected to a source that cannot be exhausted. The more you align with this truth, the more peace you carry, and the more abundance you experience in every area of your life. This connection also requires trust. Trust that even when you cannot see the river, it is still flowing. Trust that even when circumstances appear dry, the supply is still present. Trust that God has already made provision before the need even appeared. Trust is what keeps your roots steady and your heart anchored, so that you do not wither in times of testing. The truth is, abundance is not created when the season changes. Abundance is always flowing. The only question is whether you remain connected to the lifeline. The unshakable source of God's provision is not limited to one aspect of life. It is not just financial but emotional, spiritual, relational, and physical. When God is your lifeline, He supplies peace in storms, wisdom in confusion, healing in sickness, joy in sorrow, and strength in weakness. The abundance of God touches every part of your life because His supply is whole, complete, and overflowing. This is why it is so important to speak it, to declare it, to affirm it until it becomes the lens through which you see your world. God is my lifeline. My source cannot fail. My supply is endless. I live in overflow, not in lack. I am connected to abundance that never runs dry. Every time you speak this truth, you align your mind and spirit with the reality of that underground river. You silence the lies of scarcity, and you open yourself up to experience the flow of divine provision in ways you could not have imagined. No matter what season of life you are in, whether spring with new beginnings, summer with growth, autumn with harvest, or even winter with apparent stillness, your lifeline remains the same. The source does not change with the season. It is constant, steady, and eternal. And when you live in this awareness, you realize that abundance is not a temporary gift. It is your permanent reality rooted in the unshakable truth that God Himself is your source. Imagine standing before a mighty tree. Its trunk strong, its branches stretching wide toward the sky, its leaves lush and vibrant in every season. Beneath the ground, unseen to the eye, lie deep roots that reach into a flowing river. That tree is not anxious about the drought. It does not tremble when the rain delays, and it does not panic when storms rage. It knows that its strength is not in what falls from the sky, but in what flows beneath the soil. That is the picture of a life rooted in God, the image of a soul that has made Him its lifeline. The true source of abundance in every season. The beauty of the tree by the river is not in its outward appearance, but in its hidden connection. People may admire its shade, its fruit, or its beauty, but what sustains it is invisible. In the same way, when you choose to anchor yourself in God, your supply is not visible to the world. They may see your growth, your success, your peace, but they do not always understand the hidden root system that makes it possible. Your strength, like that tree, comes from being connected to something deeper than appearances, something that never fall, like plants dependent on rainfall, hoping for favorable conditions, waiting for the perfect moment, and fearing the dry season. But those who are rooted by the river are not waiting on the weather. They are not subject to the unpredictability of circumstances because their roots bypass the surface and go straight to the flow that never stops. When you place your trust in God, You stop depending on the temporary, and you start living from the eternal. You stop chasing conditions and tree by the river, flourishing in every season, begin resting in connection. The tree by the river has an extraordinary resilience. It faces winds, yet it bends without breaking. It endures heat, yet its leaves remain green. It enters winter, yet its roots still drink deeply. Its constancy does not come from the outside, but from the inside. When you anchor yourself in God as your lifeline, you too develop this resilience. You no longer wither in the face of trials, because your strength does not depend on external support. You no longer dry up when people walk away, because your nourishment comes from something deeper. You no longer shrink in scarcity, because your roots are in the one who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. The image of the tree is powerful, because it reveals how abundance operates. Fruit is the outward expression of inward supply. A tree does not strain or struggle to bear fruit. It does not worry about its branches or fear whether it will produce. It simply remains rooted and fruit becomes the natural outcome. In the same way, your role is not to strive in anxiety or scramble in fear, but to remain rooted in God. The abundance in your life, whether financial, relational, or spiritual, becomes the natural result of your connection to Him. Abundance is not forced. It flows. Prosperity is not manufactured. It is manifested through alignment with your lifeline. This image also carries a promise. Consistency in every season. Most plants are seasonal. They flourish for a time and then fade. But the tree planted by rivers of water continues to produce, because the river never ceases. Life may move through cycles, moments of planting, times of growth, seasons of harvest, and even periods of stillness. But the supply remains steady. When God is your lifeline, you do not have good seasons and bad seasons. Every season becomes fruitful because every season is nourished by the same river. There will always be external pressures trying to uproot you. Circumstances may tempt you to doubt. Challenges may try to weaken your faith. Storms may shake your surroundings. But the deeper your roots grow, the stronger you become. The storms cannot pull up what is anchored in the river. The winds cannot destroy what is rooted in eternal supply. You do not need to fear the shakings of life, because they only reveal how deeply connected you are. The stronger the storm, the more visible the stability of the tree. The same is true for you. Another powerful truth revealed by the tree is its role in the environment around it. It does not only receive, it gives. Its branches provide shelter. Its fruit nourishes others. Its presence brings shade and refreshment. In the same way, when your life is rooted in God, your abundance is not just for you. It overflows into the lives of others. Your provision becomes a blessing. Your wisdom becomes guidance. Your peace becomes an anchor for those around you. True abundance never stops with the receiver. It multiplies outward, touching everyone connected to you. To be like the tree by the river also means to embrace patience. A tree does not grow overnight. Roots deepen slowly. Branches spread gradually. Fruit appears in due season. Yet all the while the tree is sustained because of its connection. In the same way, you may not see immediate results in every area of your life, but the flow of abundance is already working beneath the surface. The important part is that you remain rooted, unshaken, unmoved by temporary appearances. Growth will come, fruit will come, harvest will come because the river never stops flowing. This image of the rooted tree is a call to let go of shallow living. Too many try to survive on shallow roots, depending on people's opinions, clinging to unstable jobs, or chasing temporary opportunities. Shallow roots cannot withstand pressure. They dry up in heat and are blown away in storms. But when you decide to sink your roots deeper into God, you tap into eternal provision. You stop living on the surface, and you begin drawing from a source that the world cannot see and cannot take away. There is also a quiet strength in the tree's existence. It does not boast about its roots. It does not announce the river beneath. It simply stands tall and lets its fruit and its shade testify. In the same way, when you live connected to God, you do not need to prove yourself, defend yourself, or chase validation. Your fruit will speak for you. Your success will testify. Your peace will shine. Your life itself will become a witness of the unseen river that sustains you. Even in the harshest climates, the tree by the river thrives. That is the kind of abundance God promises when He is your lifeline. You do not just survive in favorable conditions. You thrive in every condition. Where others wither, you stand strong. Where others lack, you flourish. Where others are shaken, you remain steady because your roots are not in the world's system, but in an eternal flow that no season can touch. This is the invitation to be like that tree. To sink your roots deep into the river of divine supply, to stop depending on rainfall, and start trusting the river. To stop fearing the drought and start living in the assurance of the lifeline. And when you do, abundance will not be something you chase. It will be something you carry. You will bear fruit in every season. You will remain green in every circumstance. And your life will forever testify that God is the source, the river, the lifeline that makes everything possible. There is a powerful truth that shatters fear and dismantles anxiety. Abundance is not tied to the economy. It is not chained to the rise and fall of markets, not dependent on political systems, and not determined by world events. Abundance flows from a higher source, a spiritual law that cannot be broken, a supply that never runs out. To live by this truth is to rise above the fluctuations of the world and to rest in the steady stream of divine provision that never fail. When people tie their sense of security to the economy, they live in constant fear. When the markets rise, they breathe easy. When they fall, panic grips their hearts. Their peace is dictated by numbers they cannot control. Their confidence swayed by headlines, and their hope tied to systems that have proven time and again to be unstable. But when you shift your perspective and anchor your trust in God as the ultimate source, you realize that your abundance does not shrink when the economy tightens, and it does not disappear when opportunities look scarce. What is yours cannot be taken away by shifting systems, because it does not come from them. Think about the times in history when economies collapsed, when nations went through famine, when currencies lost their value. In those moments, many people were swept into despair. Yet there were always individuals who thrived, who continued to grow, who lived in provision that could not be explained by human logic. What separated them was not luck, but connection. They were plugged into a source beyond the world's economy, a lifeline that sustained them no matter what was happening around them. This is the truth. When your source is divine, you cannot be controlled by earthly system. Consider how fragile the world's economy truly is. A war in one country can affect the markets globally. A single policy can send industries crashing. Inflation, recessions, and shortages become cycles that repeat, and people who are tied to them are tossed around like ships in a storm. But when you know that abundance is beyond the economy, you live differently. You stand like a lighthouse in the storm, steady, immovable, and shining brightly while others are thrown into chaos. Your confidence does not rise and fall with reports or statistics, because your faith is in the eternal supply. This truth also dissolves the mindset of competition. In the world's economy, people fight over resources. They believe there isn't enough to go around, so they scramble, hoard, and push others down too. That when you live from divine abundance, you realize that no one can take what belongs to you, and you cannot be blocked from what has been appointed to your life. There is no shortage in God's supply, and there is no limit to what He can release into your hand. Competition is an illusion born of scarcity thinking, but connection to divine provision births a mindset of generosity, cooperation, and confidence. Abundance beyond the economy also means that your supply is not limited to your job, your paycheck, or your business. Those may be channels, but they are not the source. If one channel closes, another can open. And sometimes what seems like a loss is simply a redirection to something greater. Too often people confuse the channel with the source. They think their employer is their provider or their business is their lifeline. But jobs can be lost, businesses can slow, and channels can dry up. The true source never fails. The river keeps flowing, and the only requirement is that you remain connected to it. This awareness brings freedom from fear of lack. Scarcity is the mindset that says, if I lose this, I'll have nothing. If the economy fails, I'll be ruined. If opportunities don't come, abundance beyond the economy, I'll be left behind. But when you understand that your abundance is beyond the economy, You replace fear with faith. You begin to live in expectation, knowing that even in the desert, rivers can spring forth, and even in famine, provision can find you. You carry the assurance that the one who multiplies loaves and fishes, who brings water out of rocks, and who feeds multitudes with nothing is still your source today. Living with this awareness also transforms your relationship with money itself. Money becomes a tool, not a master. You stop being enslaved by the fear of not having enough, and you stop worshiping the pursuit of more. Instead, you recognize money as one of many ways abundance expresses itself. True abundance is not just financial. It is peace, health, joy, opportunities, relationships, and wisdom. When you live from divine supply, you stop measuring abundance only in currency and start recognizing the richness of life in every area. This is why gratitude becomes so powerful. Gratitude shifts your focus from what the world says is missing to the truth of what is already flowing. When you give thanks for the provision you already have, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance. You stop fearing scarcity and start celebrating the endless supply that is available to you. Gratitude is not just an attitude. It is a key that unlocks doors, multiplies resources, and draws more into your life. There is also a rest that comes from knowing your abundance is beyond the economy. While others exhaust themselves chasing, striving, and worrying, you can move with calm confidence. This does not mean passivity. It means activity without anxiety, work without fear, effort without desperation. You give your best. You take inspired action. But you do so with the assurance that the outcome is not tied to the fragile systems of man. You know that your success is not built on unstable ground, but rooted in eternal truth. When you fully embrace this reality, you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. While many are blinded by fear in difficult times, your eyes are open to divine possibilities. Where others retreat, you advance. Where others withhold, you give. Where others crumble, you stand. That is the power of living connected to abundance beyond the economy. It positions you to rise when others fall, to thrive when others wither, and to shine when others are dimmed by fear. This truth is about trust. Do you trust the shifting systems of the world, or do you trust the unshakable supply of God? Trusting Him means loosening your grip on fear and holding tightly to faith. It means declaring boldly, "My abundance does not come from the world. My supply does not depend on systems. My prosperity is not fragile. I am connected to a source that never fails." When this becomes the conviction of your heart, no headline, no statistic, and no crisis can shake you. The greatest freedom you can ever experience is freedom from fear of lack. Once you know deep within that your abundance is not tied to human economies, but to divine provision, you will never again live in worry about the future. You will walk with steady confidence, give with open hands, and live with the peace of knowing you are anchored to a source that is eternal, limitless, and overflowing. Abundance is not seasonal. Abundance is not fragile. Abundance is your reality because your supply is beyond the economy and rooted in the eternal river that never runs dry. When you open your mouth and declare words of faith, you set invisible forces into motion. Life itself responds to words. For words carry power, words create atmosphere, and words shape destiny. To know that abundance flows through your connection to God is one thing, but to speak it until it is the only truth your mind accepts is where transformation happens. Faith declarations are not just affirmations or positive thinking. They are spiritual laws voiced into the world. When you declare, "God is my lifeline, therefore I have abundance," you are aligning your life with a higher reality and commanding your circumstances to fall in line with it. Most people underestimate the weight of their words. They speak lack without realizing it. They say, "I can't afford this," or "Nothing ever works for me," or "It's always hard to get by." Every word becomes a seed planted into the soil of their life. And just like natural seeds, those words grow and produce after their kind. A seed of lack cannot produce abundance. A seed of fear cannot yield peace. But when you choose to plant declarations of abundance, you begin cultivating a harvest that matches the words you have spoken. Declarations of faith are not empty repetitions. They carry power because they are rooted in truth. To declare, "God is my lifeline. My supply never fails," is not wishful thinking. It is not pretending. It is announcing a spiritual reality that already exists. The more you say it, the more your mind begins to accept it. And the more your life begins to reflect it. What you consistently declare with conviction reshapes the way you see, the way you think, and eventually the way you live. When you face situations that look like lack, this is when your declarations become most important. It is easy to speak abundance when everything is flowing. But true faith is proven when appearances contradict your words. To stand in the middle of emptiness and say, "My cup runs over," is to refuse to let the visible dictate your truth. To stare at bills and say, "I have more than enough," is to anchor yourself in God's supply rather than the numbers on a page. To be in a dry place and still declare, "I am connected to an endless river," is to exercise a faith that calls things which are not as though they already are. The human mind resists this at first because it is conditioned by evidence. It says, "If I don't see it, it isn't real." But declarations recondition the mind. They train you to shift from depending on evidence to depending on truth. With repetition, your subconscious begins to align with your spoken words. Your perspective changes. Fear loses its grip. You start noticing opportunities you once overlooked. The more you speak it, the more you believe it, and the more your actions align with what you believe. That is how declarations move from being words on your lips to realities in your life. Consider how even nature responds to words. Farmers know that the seed they plant is the harvest they will reap. They would never plant corn and expect wheat. Yet people plant words of poverty and hope for prosperity. They plant words of doubt and expect miracles. Declarations of faith are the intentional planting of the right seeds. They ensure that the harvest of your life matches the truth you desire. If you want abundance, you must declare abundance. If you want peace, you must declare peace. If you want overflow, you must declare overflow. There is also a power in declaring your faith out loud. Silent thoughts shape your inner world, but spoken words carry vibrations into the external world. Your voice is a force. It resonates in the atmosphere. It charges your environment, and it sends energy into motion. Speaking out loud reminds you that your words are alive. When you say, "God is my lifeline, my source cannot fail," something shifts not only within you but around you. The air itself begins to carry the weight of your conviction. Declarations are also shields in times of attack. When fear whispers, when doubt rises, when circumstances shout their lies, your declarations drown them out. Speaking truth aloud silences the noise of negativity. Every time you say, "I live in overflow, not in lack," you are countering the barrage of scarcity that tries to infiltrate your mind. Every time you affirm, "I am connected to endless supply," you are rejecting the lies of limitation. Your words become your weapons, your shield, your protection against the invasion of doubt. Another aspect of faith declarations is that they are prophetic. They point forward, declaring not just what is seen now, but what is coming. When you declare abundance, you are stepping into your future with words that shape it in advance. You are preparing the soil of tomorrow with the seeds of today. Declarations are not about denying current reality. They are about building the reality that will soon unfold. They are a bridge between the present and the promise. Imagine walking into a barren field with a bag of seeds. To the untrained eye, it looks like empty ground, but the farmer knows that once the seeds are planted, the harvest is inevitable. Declarations are your seeds in the barren fields of life. At first, nothing seems to change, but underground in the unseen something is taking root. In time the sprouts appear, then the growth, and finally the harvest. That is the power of speaking abundance. When lack surrounds you, you are sowing into the invisible, and the invisible always produces the visible. The key is consistency. A single declaration may shift your mood, but consistent declarations reshape your destiny. Just as daily watering nurtures a seed, daily affirmations of faith nurture your harvest. Repetition engraves truth deeper into your spirit. The more often you declare, the stronger your conviction becomes. And when conviction takes root, abundance becomes power of faith. Declarations inevitable. Declarations are also contagious. When others hear your words, they are influenced by your faith. Speaking life not only lifts your spirit, but but inspires those around you. Your boldness in declaring abundance can awaken faith in others who have been trapped in scarcity thinking. You become a carrier of possibility, a voice of hope, a reminder that lack is not the final word. By speaking abundance, you invite others to step into the same flow of supply. This practice changes the way you see challenges. Instead of saying I'm defeated, you declare I am more than a conqueror. Instead of saying I'll never make it, you declare I am destined for success. Instead of saying there's not enough, you declare my God supplies all my needs in overflow. Challenges no longer intimidate you, because your words frame them differently. Your language becomes your lens, and your lens reveals opportunity instead of limitation. Over time, your declarations become second nature. You no longer need to force yourself to speak abundance. It flows naturally, just as a tree planted by rivers does not force fruit, but produces it naturally. Your life begins to produce abundance as a natural result of the seeds you have spoken. You become a living testimony of the truth that what you declare consistently you eventually experience. You keep declaring, God is my lifeline. I am never disconnected. I am never empty. I live in overflow. My source cannot fail. My harvest is abundant in every season. With every repetition, the soil of your life grows richer. The roots of your faith grow deeper, and the harvest of abundance grows closer. And soon what you once only declared becomes the undeniable reality of your life. Life is made up of seasons, each with its own rhythms, challenges, and opportunities. There are times of planting, times of growth, times of harvest, and even times of apparent stillness. Most people look at the world and measure abundance according to the visible seasons. When business is booming, when opportunities are abundant, when circumstances appear favorable, they feel prosperous. When things slow down, when setbacks come, or when resources seem scarce, they believe lack has arrived. But the truth is far deeper than what the eye perceives. Abundance is not bound to the external seasons of life. It is constant, flowing from a source that transcends time and circumstance. To know this is to live anchored in peace and confidence, no matter what the world around you appears to be doing. Consider the natural world for a moment. A farmer plants seeds in the spring and knows that a harvest will come. Even though the soil may lie bare for weeks or months, the growth is unseen at first. The roots are working underground, drawing nutrients, establishing strength, preparing for what is to come. In the same way, there are seasons in your life when it feels as if nothing is happening. Opportunities may seem delayed, dreams may appear stagnant, and progress may feel invisible. Yet, just as the roots are quietly drawing sustenance, divine abundance is working beneath the surface, preparing you for a harvest that will come in its perfect time. The constancy of abundance is revealed when we understand that our supply does not originate from circumstances. Seasons come and go, markets rise and fall, and fortunes appear to ebb and flow. Yet the flow of divine provision is unchanging. It is like a river that continues to move beneath frozen winter grounds, or a hidden spring that sustains the earth even when rain is scarce. When God is your lifeline, the apparent scarcity of a season cannot stop the supply from reaching you. The only requirement is to remain rooted in faith and patient in expectation. Seasons of life also test character. There are moments of growth where abundance is visible, and these seasons teach gratitude and stewardship. There are seasons of waiting where patience is cultivated and faith is deepened. There are challenging seasons where circumstances appear contrary to desire, and these seasons teach reliance on the unshakable source. Recognizing that abundance is constant, even in unseen or difficult seasons, allows you to navigate each period with grace and confidence. You understand that lack is only a temporary illusion, and the harvest is already in motion, even if it is invisible. People often struggle because they measure their success by temporary conditions. They look at external markers, money, status, opportunities, recognition, and allow these indicators to define their sense of abundance. But abundance is not contingent upon the fluctuations of the external world. It is a spiritual reality anchored in a divine source that cannot be altered by seasons. When you shift your focus from what you see to what is unseen, you begin to recognize that every season has purpose and that your supply is constant. You begin to see the invisible hand that works behind the scenes, orchestrating events, opening doors, and arranging circumstances to deliver the perfect outcome. The principle of constant abundance also teaches resilience. Life will inevitably present seasons of drought, moments where setbacks arise, resources seem scarce, and challenges feel overwhelming. During these times, most people panic. But those who understand the constancy of abundance remain calm. They do not measure their worth or security by what is temporarily missing. They measure it by the eternal river from which they draw. They recognize that even when fruit is not visible on the branches, the roots are drinking deeply, preparing for the season of harvest that is coming. This perspective cultivates patience, endurance, and hope, allowing them to remain strong and steadfast when others falter. Another truth revealed by understanding abundance as constant is that timing is divine. Seasons may appear unpredictable, but there is order in what may seem chaotic. A seed planted at the wrong time produces little, but a seed planted in alignment with the natural rhythm yields an abundant harvest. In life, patience is not passive. It is active trust. Knowing that abundance is constant allows you to release anxiety about timing. You learn to work diligently to nurture your roots and to prepare your environment confident that the harvest will come at exactly the right moment. Abundance in every season also reframes setbacks and delays. Challenges are no longer indicators of lack or failure. They become part of the process. Just as winter is necessary for the cycles of nature, allowing soil to rest, trees to conserve energy, and roots to deepen. Periods of waiting in life are times of preparation. They strengthen character, refine faith, and ready you for the fullness of blessing that is already in motion. When you recognize this, you stop resisting difficult seasons and start cooperating with them, allowing the unseen work of abundance to shape your future. Living with this perspective transforms not only your expectations, but also your actions. In seasons of visible abundance, you are generous, knowing that the flow is constant and cannot be exhausted. In seasons of apparent scarcity, you act with wisdom, patience, and faith, confident that supply is on its way. Your decisions are no longer dictated by panic but by trust. Your mindset is no longer enslaved to fear, but anchored in certainty. You become a person who can navigate any season with composure, creativity, and courage. The constancy of abundance also builds confidence in giving. Most people fear that sharing will deplete them. But when you understand that your source is eternal, giving becomes a joyful act. You release resources, time, and energy, knowing that the river replenishes and overflows. Generosity is no longer a risk, but an alignment with the truth that abundance is constant. Your giving becomes a catalyst for multiplication, both in your life and in the lives of others, further reinforcing the reality that supply is endless and never dependent on temporary conditions. This awareness strengthens gratitude. Every season offers something to be thankful for, and recognizing constant abundance allows you to see blessings that may have gone unnoticed. In spring, you celebrate growth. In summer, you enjoy fruition. In autumn, you harvest generously. Even in winter, when visible progress seems absent, you are grateful for the preparation, for the strengthening, for the quiet work that ensures future abundance. Gratitude becomes not just a response to visible blessings, but a lifestyle anchored in trust in a supply that never diminishes. Understanding the constancy of abundance also influences your relationships and environment. You no longer envy others because you realize that their success does not diminish your supply. You no longer fear competition because your harvest is assured. You no longer compare your season to theirs because you recognize that your growth and blessing follow a divine rhythm. Each person's journey is unique, and each season is calibrated to deliver maximum fruitfulness at the right time. Your peace comes from alignment with the eternal river rather than the fluctuating currents of the world. The understanding that abundance is constant empowers bold action. You are no longer paralyzed by fear of failure or delay. You take steps toward goals with confidence, knowing that the lifeline that sustains you cannot be cut. You invest your time, talents, and resources with assurance, trusting that the supply will meet every need. Every move you make becomes infused with courage. Every choice becomes aligned with possibility, and every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth. You live dynamically, fully aware that abundance is a reality not limited to abundance in spring, summer, autumn, and winter favorable seasons, but flowing freely in every season of life. Life often presents itself in ways that are visible and tangible. Yet, the most powerful forces are those that remain unseen. There is a hidden stream that runs beneath the surface of every circumstance, a source of supply, strength, and abundance that most people overlook. It is invisible to the eyes, silent to the ears, and imperceptible to the senses. Yet, it is the lifeblood of every blessing that manifests in your life. When you understand that abundance can flow from unseen places, you begin to operate from a higher perspective, one that sees beyond the limitations of what is apparent and taps into the eternal source that never fails. Many people rely solely on what they can see. They measure success by tangible results, by bank balances, by visible opportunities, or by the approval of others. When those things are lacking, they feel abandoned, unworthy, or unlucky. They are unaware that the true supply is coming from a hidden source, one that operates beyond human understanding. Just as a river runs beneath the desert sands, unseen and life-giving, the hidden stream of divine provision works quietly behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances, opening doors, and positioning blessings long before they are visible. The hidden stream is a metaphor for faith. It is trusting that what cannot yet be seen is already at work. Many struggle with waiting because they cannot see the outcome. They doubt because the manifestation is not immediate. But the hidden stream teaches a vital principle. The work of provision is often invisible before it becomes tangible. Just because you cannot perceive it does not mean it is not there. The seeds planted in silence, the prayers whispered in secret, and the diligence applied without recognition all draw from this unseen river that never runs dry. This principle is evident in nature. Consider the roots of a tree or a plant. To the casual observer, a seed in the ground may appear dormant. There is no visible sign of growth. Yet beneath the soil, the roots are developing, drawing nutrients, and preparing for the emergence of the sprout. What is invisible is as critical as what is visible. So it is in life. The hidden stream may not be obvious, but it is nourishing, strengthening, and preparing you for the visible manifestation of abundance. Understanding this allows you to cultivate patience and trust, knowing that the unseen work is real and effective. Operating from the awareness of the hidden stream also reshapes your perspective on setbacks. When things appear to go wrong, when doors close or when opportunities seem delayed, it is easy to assume lack or failure, but the hidden stream reminds you that these apparent setbacks may be the unseen work of alignment and preparation. Just as a river may carve its path silently beneath rocks before appearing on the surface, your blessings are being shaped in ways that are not immediately visible. Trusting the process allows you to navigate challenges with confidence rather than panic. Faith is the key to accessing the hidden stream. Seeing with spiritual eyes allows you to recognize that there is an invisible force at work on your behalf. Prayer, meditation, and declarations are ways of connecting to this stream. Every time you speak your faith, every time you act with trust, you are drawing from the unseen supply. You are participating in a flow that exists beyond the limitations of time, space, and human logic. The more attuned you become to this invisible current, the more it shapes your reality, bringing forth abundance in ways that appear miraculous to those who only see the surface. The hidden stream also teaches humility and reliance. It reminds you that you are not the ultimate source. No matter how talented, resourceful, or intelligent you are, the most significant portion of provision comes from beyond your own efforts. This understanding keeps pride in check and cultivates gratitude. You learn to partner with the unseen, to cooperate with forces that you cannot control, and to release the illusion that everything depends solely on your actions. When you live in alignment with the hidden stream, you operate in the flow of divine intelligence, rather than exhausting yourself in futile struggle. Many people miss opportunities because they cannot perceive the hidden stream at work. They act only when results are visible. They invest only when they can predict outcomes, and they make decisions based on the seen. Yet the flow of abundance often begins in the unseen, before it becomes visible. The wise understand that timing is crucial, and they act in faith guided by intuition, spiritual insight, and the quiet whisper of divine provision. They plant, sow, and nurture even when the surface looks barren, knowing that the hidden stream will reveal the harvest at the appointed time. The hidden stream also provides security. Life is unpredictable, and external sources of provision are often unstable. Jobs can be lost, markets can fluctuate, and relationships can change. Yet the unseen supply is constant, reliable, and unshakable. When you are connected to it, you no longer live in fear of sudden loss. You are anchored in a source that cannot be taken away, diminished, or exhausted. This understanding brings peace and freedom, allowing you to act boldly, invest wisely, and live generously without fear. Generosity, in fact, becomes a natural expression of reliance on the hidden stream. When you recognize that abundance flows from a source beyond yourself, you are willing to share what you have without hesitation. Giving becomes a participation in the unseen river, a release into the flow that returns blessings multiplied. The hidden stream teaches that scarcity is an illusion and that provision is endless. When you trust it, you give freely, knowing that what is yours cannot be depleted, and your faith is strengthened with every act of generosity. This principle also affects mindset. Living focused only on the seen cultivates anxiety, doubt, and fear. Living aware of the hidden stream fosters confidence, hope, and expectation. You learn to shift attention from scarcity to supply, from obstacles to opportunities, from delays to preparation. Every challenge becomes a chance to trust deeper. Every pause a signal that the unseen work is in motion, and every moment a reminder that you are constantly being sustained. Faith declarations are instrumental in accessing the hidden stream. Words spoken with conviction resonate with the invisible flow and draw supply into manifestation. Every affirmation that aligns with abundance, every prayer that trusts the unseen, and every statement of confidence in divine provision strengthens your connection to the hidden river. Just as a magnet draws metal, your focused declarations draw blessings from the unseen into your visible reality. The hidden stream also requires discernment and awareness. It often works subtly through circumstances that may not initially appear to be blessings. Opportunities disguised as challenges, delays that are preparation, and setbacks that are protection are all part of the unseen flow. When you develop the ability to perceive the guidance of the hidden stream, you navigate life with wisdom, making choices that align with the ultimate flow of abundance. You begin to understand that the stream often moves in ways that defy logic, yet its results are perfectly timed and orchestrated for your highest good. The hidden stream reinforces the spiritual principle that abundance is not always immediate, but it is inevitable. Just because you cannot see the results today does not mean they will not manifest tomorrow. Trusting the unseen allows you to remain steadfast, to continue sowing seeds, to keep acting in faith, and to cultivate patience without panic. Your life becomes a testament to the principle that the invisible always produces the visible, and that the greatest blessings often arrive through channels that cannot be seen with the natural eye, but are clearly understood by faith. Many people live their lives convinced that lack is real. They measure their worth, success, and security by what they do not have, by the gaps in their bank accounts, the opportunities they missed, or the resources they believe are scarce. Scarcity seems obvious. It appears in empty shelves, declining markets, missed promotions, and personal setbacks. Yet, scarcity is an illusion, a belief system rather than an absolute truth. When you shift your perspective and root your understanding in the eternal source of supply, you begin to see that what appears limited is in reality abundant. Lack exists only where faith is absent and perception is limited. The illusion of scarcity is reinforced by the world around us. Society constantly signals that resources are finite, that opportunities must be fought over, that one person's gain is another's loss. Advertising preys on fear, encouraging competition, hoarding, and anxiety. People are conditioned to believe that they must struggle to survive, that every blessing is contested, and that provision is scarce. Yet, These external narratives do not reflect the truth of divine abundance. When God is your lifeline, the supply is limitless, and what the world calls scarcity is simply a temporary appearance that cannot touch the reality of what has been divinely ordained for you. Scarcity is often experienced first in the mind. When you constantly dwell on what you lack, you reinforce the illusion thoughts like, I don't have enough, I'll never succeed, or there's nothing available for me. Create a mental atmosphere that attracts drinking from the hidden stream, more limitation. The mind operates like fertile soil, and the seeds planted there will grow according to your focus. If you plant seeds of lack, you harvest fear, anxiety, and missed opportunities. If you plant seeds of abundance, you cultivate confidence, creativity, and provision. Understanding that lack is an illusion begins with mastering your thoughts and refusing to accept scarcity as reality. Faith is the key to breaking free from this illusion. Faith allows you to look beyond appearances and recognize the invisible truth that the source of abundance is infinite. The world may present limitations, but faith says my supply comes from a source that never fails. What I need is already on its way. When you declare with conviction that lack is not real, you align yourself with abundance even in situations that appear empty. The unseen becomes your focus, and the visible adjusts to match the reality you believe in. Another reason scarcity seems real is the human tendency to compare. You look at others and see their success, wealth, or opportunities, and immediately conclude that there is not enough for you. Comparison breeds fear and envy, strengthening the illusion of limitation. Yet the truth is that abundance is not a zero-sum game. What is allocated to one person does not reduce what is available to another. The river of provision is not finite. It flows endlessly, supplying each person according to divine timing and purpose. When you stop comparing and trust in your own source, the illusion of lack dissipates. Scarcity also manifests in delayed gratification when things do not arrive as quickly as you expect. The mind assumes absence. You see empty bank accounts, postponed promotions, or stalled projects and conclude that supply is missing. But abundance does not always follow human schedules. The divine supply often works in hidden, unseen ways that appear delayed until the harvest is ready. Understanding that lack is illusion requires patience and perspective. Knowing that timing does not equate to absence, and that what is promised will arrive at the appointed moment. The illusion of scarcity affects behavior as well. Fear of not having enough causes people to hoard, to make poor decisions, to settle for less than they deserve, and to act from a place of desperation. In contrast, understanding that scarcity is not real frees you to act boldly, invest wisely, and give generously. When you operate from abundance, your actions are guided by confidence rather than fear. You make choices from a position of power, not panic, and you open doors to opportunities that scarcity-minded thinking would never allow you to see. One of the most profound ways to overcome the illusion of lack is through declarations and affirmations. Speaking aloud that abundance is your reality, that God is your lifeline, and that your supply is unlimited begins to shift your internal narrative. Words carry energy and intention, and when consistently declared, they reshape your perception of reality. I lack nothing, I am provided for. Supply flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. Repeating these declarations rewires the mind to reject scarcity and embrace the truth of infinite provision. Generosity is a natural outcome of this mindset. Those who believe in scarcity cling to resources fearing that giving will leave them empty. But when you know lack is an illusion, giving becomes a joyful expression of faith. Your abundance is not diminished by sharing. Rather, it flows back to you multiplied. Every act of generosity becomes a confirmation of the truth. The river of provision is endless and nothing is ever truly lost. The more you release in faith, the more you reinforce the reality of unending supply. The illusion of scarcity also distorts perception of risk. When you see lack as real, you are paralyzed by fear, hesitant to invest, innovate, or step into new opportunities. When you see abundance as reality, risk is reframed. You understand that failure is temporary, challenges are opportunities for growth, and the source of supply remains intact regardless of outcomes. Scarcity constrains, but understanding its illusory nature liberates creativity, courage, and bold action. Another way scarcity is perceived is through limited experiences. People often assume their present situation defines their entire reality. If they are struggling financially, they conclude there is no hope for wealth. If opportunities seem absent, they believe doors are closed forever. Yet abundance is not tied to present appearances. The hidden supply works beyond what you can currently see or understand. Life may appear barren in a season, but the underlying river of provision is flowing, preparing the future harvest. Recognizing this allows you to act in confidence, sow seeds of faith, and align with opportunities that are unseen. The world reinforces scarcity through constant messaging, advertisements, media, social comparison, and cultural pressures. It is easy to internalize these messages and believe they define reality. But spiritual truth transcends cultural narratives. God's supply is infinite, unshakable, and beyond measurement. Once you embrace that scarcity is not real, you no longer absorb the world's limiting messages. You see through the illusion, and you begin to operate from a reality that is larger, fuller, and richer than what is immediately visible. Understanding that lack is an illusion transforms every area of life. Relationships, finances, career, creativity, and personal growth all flourish when you operate from abundance rather than fear. You begin to recognize opportunities that scarcity-minded people overlook. You attract mentors, collaborators, and supporters because your energy is aligned with confidence and faith. You take steps toward dreams with assurance that the supply is already prepared. And most importantly, you live in peace knowing that nothing is missing, nothing is delayed, and nothing can take away what is divinely yours. Fear and faith exist in a constant tension within the human experience. Every day, people face choices that are influenced either by fear of lack or by trust in supply. Fear convinces the mind that resources are limited, opportunities are scarce, and survival depends solely on controlling circumstances. Faith, on the other hand, recognizes an invisible infinite source that provides beyond what the eye can see and beyond what human effort can achieve. Scarcity is the language of fear, while abundance is the language of faith. The deeper one understands this dynamic, the more life transforms. Because the battle between fear and faith ultimately determines the quality, direction, and fulfillment of every individual's life. Scarcity fueled by fear causes contraction. It makes people hold tightly to what they have, hoard resources, and resist new opportunities. It convinces them that every gain by another is a personal loss. Fear narrows vision, keeping the mind focused on limitations rather than possibilities. In this state, every obstacle looks insurmountable, every challenge seems threatening, and every moment of waiting feels like deprivation. Decisions made under scarcity and fear are reactive, defensive, and often counterproductive. The very energy expended in resisting lack could have been used to create, expand, and manifest abundance. Faith, in contrast, leads to expansion. Faith understands that supply is constant, that provision is guaranteed, and that the unseen forces of the universe are orchestrating circumstances in alignment with divine law. When you operate from faith, you act from a place of confidence rather than panic. You make choices from opportunity rather than from desperation. You invest, give, and pursue with boldness because you know the source is infinite. Faith does not ignore obstacles, but it sees them through the lens of possibility rather than limitation. Scarcity fears the present. Faith anticipates the future. The human mind naturally gravitates toward fear because fear is rooted in survival instincts. In ancient times, recognizing danger and anticipating scarcity was essential to survival. Yet in the modern world, this instinct can be counterproductive. The challenges faced today rarely involve immediate threats to physical survival. Instead, they are often financial, relational, or professional. When fear dominates, it convinces the mind that supply is limited. Faith, however, retrains the mind to recognize that survival and abundance are not threatened when the source is infinite. It teaches that limitation is not reality, it is perception, and perception can be changed. One of the most critical aspects of this dynamic is decision. Scarcity leads to decisions made under pressure, constrained thinking, and avoidance of risk. People become reactive, defensive, and controlling. Faith, by contrast, produces strategic, inspired action. Decisions made from faith consider long-term potential, alignment with purpose, and connection to supply. Faith opens the mind to solutions that scarcity cannot see, possibilities that appear impossible to those trapped in fear. When faith governs choices, scarcity loses power and abundance manifests naturally. Scarcity also manifests in emotions and behavior. Fear breeds anxiety, stress, and jealousy. It prompts competition over collaboration and distrust over openness. Scarcity causes people to cling, control, and resist change. Faith conversely generates peace, confidence, and generosity. It fosters cooperation, trust, and creative expression. Those who operate in faith lack is an illusion. Walking in overflow are able to engage with the world without being manipulated by temporary circumstances. They move with assurance that supply is ever present and responsive to aligned action. The contrast between scarcity and supply is also evident in how people view giving and receiving. Scarcity fears that giving will lead to emptiness. It resists sharing, holds tightly to possessions, and limits generosity because it imagines a finite pool. Faith knows that supply is infinite, and giving becomes an expression of alignment with that truth. When you give from faith, you are not depleting resources. You are participating in the flow of provision. Generosity reinforces belief in abundance, magnifies supply, and demonstrates trust in the unseen source that governs life. Scarcity and faith are also mirrored in language. The words we speak either reinforce limitation or declare possibility. Those governed by fear often speak phrases like, "I can't afford this," "It's too hard," or "There's not enough." These words are declarations of scarcity, planting seeds that produce more fear and limitation. Words spoken in faith, however, such as "I am provided for," "Abundance flows to me and I trust in the source," carry energy that reshapes perception, influences circumstances, and draws supply into manifestation. Language is not neutral. It is the bridge between thought and reality, and it reflects whether you operate from scarcity or faith. Faith also shifts perspective on risk and opportunity. Scarcity magnifies perceived danger, making even small challenges appear threatening. It views opportunity as competition, scarcity as threat, and change as risk. Faith reframes risk as potential, obstacles as stepping stones, and scarcity as illusion. It allows action with confidence, courage, and clarity. In this way, faith transforms perception, empowering individuals to move boldly while scarcity immobilizes them with fear. The practical outcome of living from faith rather than fear is observable in results. Those dominated by scarcity often experience cycles of struggle, setbacks, and disappointment. Their energy is spent defending what little they perceive rather than creating or expanding. Those governed by faith, however, experience growth, resilience, and opportunity. Their alignment with supply allows for consistent progress, creative breakthroughs, and the manifestation of abundance even in situations that appear limited. Faith produces not only emotional stability, but measurable outcomes that demonstrate the law of supply in action. Another dimension of this contrast is the inner state of peace. Scarcity produces tension, worry, and restlessness. The mind is constantly on alert, scanning for deficiencies, threats, and gaps. Faith produces calm, security, and clarity. When supply is trusted, anxiety loses its hold. The mind rests in confidence even in the face of challenges. This inner stability enhances creativity, decision-making, and relational harmony, creating a life that is productive, balanced, and abundant. Faith and scarcity also differ in how they respond to setbacks. Fear interprets challenges as evidence of limitation and often causes retreat, hesitation, or surrender. Faith interprets challenges as opportunities for growth and refinement. Setbacks are seen not as the end, but as part of the process through which abundance is activated. Faith trusts that every obstacle is temporary and that supply remains constant. Scarcity interprets. Faith transforms. Fear constrains. Faith expands. The choice between scarcity and faith is ultimately a choice of alignment. Scarcity aligns you with temporary appearances, human limitations, and fear-based thinking. Faith aligns you with eternal supply, divine order, and infinite possibility. Scarcity limits. Faith liberates. Scarcity contracts. Faith expands. Scarcity sees walls. Faith sees doors. Scarcity complains. Faith declares. Every moment presents the opportunity to choose which alignment will govern your thoughts, words, and action. Living consciously from faith over scarcity requires practice, awareness, and persistence. It involves recognizing fear when it arises, refusing to accept the narrative of limitation, and choosing to trust supply even when circumstances appear contrary. It involves speaking truth over your life, acting boldly in alignment with possibility, and observing the unseen forces that orchestrate abundance on your behalf. With consistent effort, faith becomes the default mode. Scarcity diminishes, and life begins to flow with grace, opportunity, and divine provision. The struggle between scarcity and supply, fear and faith, is the defining factor in the quality of your life. Those who operate from fear experience limitation and frustration, while those who operate from faith experience expansion, opportunity, and peace. Choosing faith is not denial. It is a conscious alignment with the invisible source that sustains, provides, and multiplies. Supply is constant. Fear is illusion. And the life that flows from faith is abundant beyond measure. Life unfolds according to divine timing, a rhythm far beyond human comprehension. While we often measure success, provision, and opportunity by the clock or by immediate results, there is an invisible current orchestrating the perfect moments for everything in our lives. The universe, guided by divine wisdom, positions circumstances, people, and resources in precise alignment with the highest good. When you trust this flow of abundance, you learn to release frustration, impatience, and fear, understanding that delays are not denials and waiting is not absence. Every season, every delay, every apparent obstacle is part of a masterful orchestration designed to deliver blessings at exactly the right time. Human impatience often causes people to act prematurely. We see an opportunity and rush. We want results immediately, and we assume that delay equals failure. This is the mindset that leads to mistakes, missed blessings, and wasted energy. Acting too soon without alignment can prevent the manifestation of the full measure of abundance intended for us. Divine timing, however, ensures that when the right time arrives, the conditions are perfect, the resources are in place, and the outcome exceeds expectation. Trusting this timing requires patience, faith, and awareness that the unseen is always at work behind the scene. Divine timing is evident in nature. Every tree, flower, and plant follows a precise cycle of growth. Seeds germinate at the correct season, buds appear at the appointed time, and harvests come when conditions are ideal. If a farmer tries to force growth by planting too early, the seeds will fail. If the harvest is rushed before it matures, the yield will be diminished. Life operates with the same principle. There is a perfect season for every opportunity, for every breakthrough, and for every blessing. Aligning with this rhythm allows you to maximize the results and avoid frustration caused by acting ahead or behind schedule. Patience is a critical component of trusting divine timing. Waiting is often misinterpreted as inactivity. Yet, in the invisible currents of provision, waiting is active preparation. While you wait, your character is strengthened, your faith is deepened, and unseen resources are gathered. Just as the roots of a tree grow silently underground before the trunk and branches emerge, the unseen work in your life is preparing you for visible abundance. Trusting the process allows you to remain calm, confident, and steadfast, knowing that every delay has purpose, and every pause contributes to the fullness of the outcome. The challenge lies in seeing beyond the visible. When circumstances appear stagnant, human perception assumes absence or failure. Yet divine timing works in ways that are not immediately evident. Opportunities may be hidden, resources may be prepared invisibly, and connections may be arranged without your knowledge. Faith allows you to trust the unseen and act in alignment with the flow rather than resisting or forcing circumstance. When you recognize that the timing of your blessings is orchestrated, impatience loses its grip, and you can move through life with confidence and peace. Divine timing also teaches discernment. Not every opportunity is intended for immediate action. Some doors are designed to open later. When preparation has been completed, wisdom has been gained, and the necessary support is in place. Acting too soon may result in incomplete results or missed opportunities. Learning to discern the difference between the right moment and premature action is essential. Prayer, meditation, and attentiveness to guidance help cultivate this awareness, enabling you to align with the natural rhythm of abundance rather than fighting against it. Trusting divine timing does not mean passivity. Waiting does not imply inactivity. It requires active engagement in preparation, growth, and alignment. You continue to develop skills, nurture relationships, and cultivate resources, all while maintaining faith in the unseen orchestration of your life. Action and patience work together. You act where scarcity vs. divine supply inspired, prepare where necessary, and remain still where timing must be honored. This balance ensures that when the moment arrives, you are fully equipped to receive and maximize the abundance intended for you. Fear and doubt often challenge divine timing. When waiting is prolonged, the mind tends to question, am I missing out? Is this ever coming? These thoughts stem from a limited perspective, focused on what is visible rather than what is orchestrated invisibly. Trusting divine timing requires faith to believe that delays are purposeful, that provision is constant, and that the unseen current is moving in your favor. The longer you trust, the more your patience cultivates wisdom, discernment, and resilience, all of which enhance your ability to handle abundance when it manifests. Divine timing also shapes how challenges are experienced. Setbacks and delays often feel like obstacles, yet they are part of the rhythm of preparation. Lessons are learned, character is strengthened, and strategies are refined. The timing of abundance is intertwined with the timing of personal growth. You cannot fully appreciate or manage the blessing until you are ready for it. Recognizing that every delay carries purpose transforms frustration into anticipation, struggle into opportunity, and waiting into active preparation. Another aspect of divine timing is alignment with opportunity. Opportunities often appear in forms that require readiness to recognize and receive them. Being in the right place at the right time with the right skills, mindset, and connections is rarely accidental. Divine timing orchestrates all these elements so that when provision arrives, it is maximized. This understanding encourages patience, preparation, and attentiveness to guidance, ensuring that you do not miss the perfect timing due to haste, anxiety, or distraction. Trusting the flow of abundance also fosters contentment. When you understand that everything is unfolding according to divine timing, you release the pressure to control every outcome. You stop measuring success by immediate results and start seeing life as a series of orchestrated events, each contributing to your ultimate harvest. This perspective nurtures peace, gratitude, and confidence, allowing you to enjoy the present while anticipating future blessings without worry. Faith declarations are critical in trusting divine timing. Affirming statements such as, I receive my blessings in the perfect season, or all supply flows to me at the right time, serve to anchor your mind and heart in the reality of alignment. Repeating these truths cultivates patience, reinforces trust, and programs your consciousness to cooperate with the invisible flow of abundance rather than resist it. Words become instruments for aligning perception with divine timing. Divine timing also reshapes the concept of scarcity and lack. What appears delayed is not denial. What seems absent is not missing. Supply flows in its appointed moment, and every delay is preparation for fullness. When you embrace this principle, you no longer panic in the face of waiting periods. You no longer feel abandoned when progress seems slow. Instead, you understand that your lifeline of abundance is constant, and the visible manifestation will align with perfect timing, always exceeding your expectations when it finally arrives. Understanding divine timing encourages trust in unseen forces. People often act prematurely out of fear, not realizing that every invisible factor must converge before manifestation occurs. Relationships, resources, and opportunities are often positioned strategically by divine orchestration. When you wait with faith, you honor this unseen alignment. You avoid forced outcomes, wasted energy, and partial blessings, allowing the full measure of abundance to arrive exactly when it should. Trusting divine timing transforms the way you approach life. You no longer rush, panic, or force outcomes. You engage in preparation, remain alert for opportunities, act boldly when inspired, and rest confidently in the invisible orchestration of supply. You understand that every moment of waiting has purpose, every delay carries wisdom, and every season contributes to your ultimate harvest. Faith in divine timing allows you to experience abundance in a flow that is effortless, complete, and perfectly timed, ensuring that every blessing manifests at the right moment in your life. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in the manifestation of abundance. It is a lens that transforms perception, a magnet that attracts more of what you appreciate, and a multiplier that amplifies the blessings already present in your life. Many people overlook the significance of gratitude, seeing it as a polite response to life rather than a spiritual law that activates provision. When practiced consistently, gratitude shifts the mind, aligns the spirit with the source of abundance, and opens doors that mere effort or intelligence cannot access. It is not just an attitude, it is a force that interacts with the invisible currents of supply, drawing blessings toward you in ways both visible and unseen. Gratitude begins with awareness. It requires a conscious effort to notice what is already present. No matter how small or seemingly insignificant, many people overlook the subtle gifts of life, the air they breathe, the roof over their heads, the relationships that sustain them, or the opportunities that arise daily. By pausing to acknowledge these blessings, you shift your focus from lack to abundance. This simple act changes the frequency of your thoughts, turning your mind into fertile soil for the growth of more abundance. The more you recognize and appreciate, the more the unseen forces of provision respond to your openness. The act of expressing gratitude is equally important. It is one thing to silently acknowledge blessings, but speaking them aloud or recording them in writing solidifies their impact. Words carry energy, and when you declare, "I am grateful for this provision," or "I appreciate the opportunities unfolding in my life," you are sending a signal to the universe that you recognize and honor abundance. This recognition aligns you with supply rather than lack, creating a vibrational match to the very reality you wish to experience. Expression magnifies awareness, making gratitude not just a passive thought, but an active engagement with life's flow. Gratitude also transforms perception. Circumstances that may appear challenging can be reframed through the lens of appreciation. A setback becomes a lesson, a delay becomes preparation, and a challenge becomes an opportunity for growth. By focusing on what is good and present rather than what is absent, you train your mind to see abundance where scarcity once dominated. This shift is crucial because perception determines experience. What you see as reality shapes your emotions, thoughts, and decisions. Gratitude reprograms perception to align with the truth that abundance is constant, even when it is not immediately visible. The multiplier effect of gratitude is another vital principle. Every expression of appreciation increases the flow of supply in your life. When you are genuinely thankful for what you have, you create a momentum that attracts more of the same. The universe responds to your acknowledgement, producing additional opportunities, resources, and blessings. Gratitude is like a catalyst in a chemical reaction. It accelerates the manifestation process, enhancing the impact of your faith, effort, and intention. The more you practice it, the greater the yield of abundance you experience. Gratitude also strengthens faith. When you actively acknowledge and appreciate what is already present, you cultivate trust in the invisible source of supply. Seeing evidence of provision, even in small forms, reinforces belief that the lifeline sustaining you is constant and reliable. This trust diminishes fear, anxiety, and doubt, allowing faith to operate unhindered. As faith grows, so does your capacity to receive and recognize new abundance. Gratitude and faith work hand in hand. Appreciation nurtures belief, and belief amplifies the flow of provision. Another effect of gratitude is its ability to attract the right circumstances and people. When you operate from a heart of appreciation, your energy resonates with positivity and abundance, naturally drawing supportive individuals, opportunities, and resources into your life. People are drawn to those who are grateful because gratitude signals contentment, confidence, and alignment with supply. Opportunities that may have been invisible suddenly appear, doors open, and collaboration becomes more accessible. Gratitude transforms your environment, creating a fertile ground where abundance can flourish. Gratitude also reshapes your response to challenges. Life is full of unexpected twists, obstacles, and setbacks. Yet, those who practice appreciation learn to navigate difficulties with poise and wisdom. By focusing on what remains present, what lessons are embedded, and what opportunities may arise, gratitude neutralizes the paralyzing effects of fear and frustration. It allows you to act from a place of clarity rather than panic, enabling you to make decisions that are aligned with long-term abundance rather than short-term reaction. The practice of gratitude enhances resilience. People who are grateful are better able to recover from setbacks, adapt to change, and maintain optimism in the face of uncertainty. Gratitude nurtures a mindset that sees provision as constant even when it is temporarily unseen. This mindset empowers you to continue sowing seeds of effort, faith, and intention, confident that supply is on its way. Resilience born from gratitude is a key driver of sustained abundance because it prevents discouragement from interfering with consistent action. Gratitude also influences your internal state of peace and contentment. Many people mistake abundance for external achievement, yet true abundance begins internally. Appreciating what is present brings a profound sense of satisfaction, calm, and joy. When you are content with current blessings, you stop chasing after validation or recognition and anchoring the soul with affirmations. Instead, open yourself to receive more naturally. Peace attracts provision because it signals alignment with the flow of abundance rather than resistance. A grateful heart is a receptive heart. Gratitude encourages generosity, reinforcing the cycle of abundance. When you appreciate what you have, you are naturally inclined to share. Giving becomes a joyful extension of acknowledgement, not a reluctant act of sacrifice. Generosity in turn activates more provision, creating a feedback loop where gratitude produces giving. Giving amplifies supply, and supply deepens gratitude. This cycle illustrates the spiritual principle that abundance is not depleted by sharing. Rather, it is multiplied through acts of appreciation and contribution. Practicing gratitude also nurtures clarity in priorities and purpose. When you intentionally recognize what is truly valuable, you gain insight into your goals, desires, and alignment with your life's mission. Gratitude helps distinguish between fleeting wants and meaningful blessings, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. This clarity enhances decision-making, encourages purposeful action, and ensures that your efforts are directed toward cultivating abundance that is both substantial and sustainable. Gratitude is not dependent on circumstances. It is not a reaction to success or visible abundance. It is a conscious choice to acknowledge the flow of life even in seasons of challenge. By expressing appreciation for what is present, you activate unseen currents of supply that transcend the immediate situation. This practice teaches that abundance is not a condition of external achievement, but a spiritual reality accessible at all times. When gratitude is consistently applied, it transforms every situation into a source of growth, provision, and opportunity. Gratitude is a spiritual law that magnifies abundance. It is the bridge between faith and manifestation, the key that unlocks hidden streams of provision, and the force that turns potential into reality. By cultivating awareness, expressing appreciation, shifting perception, and practicing generosity, you engage with the unseen flow of abundance in a tangible, life-transforming way. Gratitude is not passive. It is active participation in the law of supply, ensuring that the blessings already present in your life multiply and expand beyond expectation. The power of visualization lies in its ability to bridge the gap between imagination and reality. It is the practice of seeing abundance in your mind's eye before it manifests in the physical world. Many people underestimate the impact of this mental rehearsal, believing that success and provision are determined solely by external effort. Yet the mind is the seedbed of reality, and what is consistently pictured, felt, and believed in the imagination eventually takes form in the external world. Visualization aligns your consciousness with the invisible currents of supply, preparing you to receive, recognize, and act upon the opportunities that bring abundance into your life. Visualization begins with clarity of desire. To see abundance before it manifests, you must first define what it looks like, feels like, and means to you. Ambiguous or vague goals yield vague results. The mind responds to specific imagery, emotions, and intentions. When you clearly picture what you seek, whether it is financial prosperity, fulfilling relationships, career success, or spiritual growth, you create a mental blueprint that guides thought, action, and energy toward the intended outcome. Clarity turns hope into a focused expectation, a prerequisite for manifestation. Emotional engagement is critical in the process of visualization. Simply imagining a scenario without feeling its reality does not fully activate the mind-body connection required for manifestation. True visualization involves experiencing the emotions of having already received the desired outcome, the joy, relief, excitement, confidence, and peace that come with abundance. When emotions are combined with mental imagery, the mind and body begin to align with the frequency of the desired reality. This alignment attracts opportunities, resources, and guidance that correspond with the emotional and mental state you consistently cultivate. Consistency is another essential principle of effective visualization. A single session of imagining abundance may inspire hope, but it is repetition and persistence that solidify belief and activate unseen currents of supply. Daily practice strengthens the mental pathways associated with success and provision, conditioning the mind to recognize possibilities rather than limitations. Consistent visualization also trains the subconscious to operate in harmony with conscious intention, turning the mind into a powerful co-creator of reality. The subconscious is constantly influencing perception, decision-making, and action. Aligning it through visualization ensures that your entire being works toward the manifestation of abundance. Visualization also requires detailed sensory engagement. The more vividly you can picture the desired reality, the stronger the signal you send to the mind and the universe. Engage all senses. See the environment, hear the sounds, feel the textures, smell the scents, and even imagine tastes associated with your abundance. This sensory immersion creates a more compelling internal experience, reinforcing belief and energizing the mind toward manifestation. The universe responds to the intensity and clarity of this inner experience, preparing conditions for the physical manifestation of what has been vividly imagined. One of the most powerful aspects of visualization is its ability to transform perception of the present moment. When you see yourself as already abundant, you begin to notice opportunities and resources that were previously invisible. People who operate without visualization often overlook potential connections, solutions, and paths because their minds are conditioned to focus on lack. Visualization recalibrates attention, teaching you to see the world through the lens of possibility. Opportunities appear in synchronicity. Guidance becomes more apparent and actions align naturally with the desired outcome. Visualization also strengthens confidence and reduces fear. When you repeatedly see yourself achieving your goals, handling challenges with ease, and receiving abundance, your belief in your own capacity grows. Fear of failure, rejection, or scarcity diminishes because your mind is already acquainted with success. Confidence is not merely a trait. It is a byproduct of repeated mental rehearsal that convinces both conscious and subconscious mind that the outcome is inevitable. This confidence translates into bold action, decisive choices, and resilience, further accelerating the manifestation process. The law of attraction is closely tied to visualization. Thoughts, emotions, and beliefs generate vibrational frequencies that attract corresponding experiences. By consistently visualizing abundance, you emit a frequency that aligns with the reality you desire. The invisible forces of the universe respond to this alignment, orchestrating circumstances, opportunities, and resources to bring your vision into tangible form. Visualization is therefore not a passive daydream. It is an active engagement with the law of supply, directing energy and intention toward the creation of reality. Visualization also interacts with gratitude. When you imagine abundance is already present and combine that vision with appreciation for its manifestation, you amplify the effect. Gratitude strengthens belief, magnifies frequency, and signals readiness to receive. It transforms the imagined scenario from mere possibility into anticipated reality. By feeling thankful for blessings that are yet to manifest, you create a mental and emotional state that attracts the very outcomes you desire, accelerating the arrival of abundance in your life. Action is an essential complement to visualization. Seeing abundance in the mind prepares the way, But tangible steps in the physical world bring the vision into form. Visualization creates clarity, focus, and guidance for inspired action. It allows you to recognize the opportunities, resources, and strategies needed to bring the mental image to life. Those who visualize without action may remain in the realm of imagination, but those who couple clear, repeated visualization with consistent, aligned effort experience the full manifestation of abundance. Visualization also reshapes your response to challenges. When obstacles arise, the mind trained through visualization maintains focus on the desired outcome rather than being overwhelmed by fear or doubt. You can see solutions, alternatives, and opportunities that others may miss. This perspective allows resilience, creativity, and persistence, ensuring that temporary setbacks do not derail the ultimate manifestation of your vision. The mind trained in visualization remains anchored in expectation rather than limitation. Affirmations and mental rehearsal enhance visualization. Repeating statements that describe the reality you are creating strengthens neural pathways in the brain, reinforcing belief and aligning the subconscious with conscious intention. Phrases such as "I am abundant in every area of my life" or "provision flows to me effortlessly" and consistently solidify mental alignment. These affirmations, when combined with vivid visualization, produce a powerful synergy that accelerates the manifestation process and strengthens faith in the unseen forces working on your behalf. Visualization also nurtures patience and trust. Seeing abundance as already present teaches the mind to operate from expectation rather than desperation. You learn that manifestation follows a divine rhythm, and that what is pictured will unfold in alignment with the perfect timing of your life. Patience becomes an active, confident trust in the unseen, knowing that every thought, intention, and image planted in the mind is already influencing the physical reality. Visualization transforms overflow as your natural state identity. By consistently seeing yourself as abundant, capable, and successful, you begin to embody the qualities of the person who already possesses what you desire. Your actions, decisions, energy, and presence shift to reflect this new identity. The mind and body begin to operate in alignment with abundance, creating a feedback loop that ensures your outer reality mirrors the inner vision. Visualization is not just about seeing wealth, opportunity, or success. It is about becoming the person capable of receiving and sustaining it, bridging the gap between imagination and tangible manifestation. Alignment is the process of bringing your thoughts, words, and actions into harmony with the reality of abundance you desire. Many people pursue success, provision, and fulfillment without realizing that internal dissonance, conflicting beliefs, negative self-talk, or inconsistent behaviors blocks the flow of blessings into their lives. When thoughts, words, and actions are misaligned, energy is fragmented, and the invisible currents of supply encounter resistance. True abundance flows effortlessly when every aspect of your being is synchronized with the principles of prosperity, faith, and expectation. Alignment is therefore not optional. It is the key to turning potential into tangible manifestation and ensuring that the lifeline of abundance operates without obstruction. The first element of alignment is thought. The mind is the source from which all external realities emerge. If thoughts are dominated by scarcity, doubt, fear, or comparison, these frequencies are projected outward, creating a corresponding experience of limitation. Alignment begins by training the mind to focus on abundance, provision, and possibility. This requires conscious awareness of internal dialogue, identifying thoughts that contradict the reality you wish to manifest and intentionally replacing them with thoughts that reinforce abundance. The mind must see the world not as a place of lack, but as a field of opportunity where supply is constant and accessible. Words are the second element of alignment. Language carries creative power, shaping perception, reinforcing beliefs, and influencing circumstances. When words reflect fear, doubt, or limitation, they send conflicting signals to both the subconscious and the universe, effectively sabotaging potential blessings. Conversely, words spoken in faith, confidence, and gratitude amplify the flow of abundance. Alignment of speech means consistently expressing appreciation, expectation, and belief in provision. Statements such as "I am abundant in every area of my life," or opportunities flow to me effortlessly align communication with thought and reinforce the mental blueprint of prosperity. Words are the bridge between inner belief and external manifestation, and when synchronized with thought, they strengthen alignment exponentially. Action is the third and equally crucial element of alignment. Thoughts and words alone are insufficient if not accompanied by behavior that supports the reality you seek. Actions must reflect the principles, priorities, and mindset of an abundant life. This includes intentional effort, strategic planning, consistent practice, and decisions guided by faith rather than fear. Alignment of action ensures that every step taken, no matter how small, moves you closer to the desired outcome. In contrast, inconsistent or reactive behaviors create friction, dissipate energy, and signal doubt, slowing the flow of abundance. When thought, word, and action converge, the invisible current of supply is activated and directed toward tangible results. Alignment also requires integrity. Integrity means that your internal beliefs, external speech, and visible behavior are congruent. People often act in ways that contradict their thoughts or words driven by habit, fear, or social pressure. This misalignment creates internal conflict and obstructs the flow of blessings. Practicing integrity means consistently evaluating whether your daily actions reflect your values, intentions, and the abundance you seek. It is about ensuring that your life in thought, word, and deed resonates with the truth of the supply already promised to you. Integrity aligns energy, amplifies faith, and removes resistance that may block manifestation. Self-awareness is foundational to alignment. Without the ability to observe and understand your internal landscape, you cannot identify conflicting beliefs, negative patterns, or limiting narratives. Self-awareness allows you to recognize when thoughts, words, or actions are out of harmony with abundance. It enables conscious redirection, replacing fear with faith, scarcity with expectation, and hesitation with decisive action. Regular reflection, meditation, journaling, and mindful observation are powerful tools to cultivate the awareness necessary for alignment. The more attuned you are to your inner state, the more effectively you can maintain consistency across all areas of your life. Alignment also involves emotional coherence. Thoughts, words, and actions are powerful, but they are amplified when coupled with emotion. Feeling the reality of abundance, experiencing joy, gratitude, and confidence, and expressing these emotions consistently ensures that your energy resonates with the desired manifestation. Misalignment often occurs when emotions contradict thoughts or words. When you say "I am abundant," but feel anxious or doubtful, emotional coherence bridges this gap, ensuring that your inner state fully supports the abundance you are cultivating. Emotions act as accelerators of manifestation, magnifying the energy of aligned thoughts, words, and actions. Another aspect of alignment is consistency over time. Alignment is not a momentary effort. It is a continuous practice. Life presents fluctuations, challenges, and temptations to revert to fear-based thinking, negative speech, or reactive behavior. Consistent alignment strengthens neural pathways, reinforces belief, and ensures that the subconscious remains in harmony with conscious intention. It is through repeated practice that thought, word, and action become habitually synchronized, creating an internal environment in which abundance naturally flows without resistance. Visualization and affirmation are tools that enhance alignment. Visualization allows you to see the reality you desire, training the mind to recognize opportunities and imagine provision before it appears. Affirmations reinforce thought and word, creating a feedback loop that conditions belief and strengthens the subconscious. When combined with aligned action, these practices ensure that your inner state, verbal expression, and behaviors are all coherent, sending a unified signal to the invisible currents of supply. Alignment, therefore, is both a mental and practical discipline, integrating imagination, language, and execution into a seamless flow of abundance. Alignment also affects decision when thoughts, words, and actions are coherent. Choices are guided by clarity, faith, and expectation. Misalignment, however, leads to indecision, hesitation, or choices that contradict long-term goals. By maintaining alignment, you respond to opportunities with confidence, act in harmony with your values, and navigate challenges with clarity. Decisions made from a place of alignment are informed by vision rather than fear, ensuring that each step moves you closer to the manifestation of abundance. Generosity and service are natural expressions of alignment. When your internal state, speech, and behavior are aligned with abundance, you act from a place of overflow rather than scarcity. This encourages giving, sharing, and contributing without hesitation, reinforcing the reality that supply is limitless. Alignment in this context ensures that generosity is authentic, consistent, and amplified, creating a cycle in which giving attracts more provision and reinforces the principles of abundance. The practice of alignment also cultivates resilience. Life is full of challenges, unexpected events, and periods of apparent scarcity. When your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned, setbacks are navigated with faith and composure. Misalignment, in contrast, leads to doubt, fear, and reactive responses that exacerbate difficulties. Alignment ensures that energy is focused on solution, opportunity, and progress rather than wasted on resistance or regret. Resilience becomes a natural byproduct, allowing you to maintain flow even when circumstances seem contrary. Alignment transforms identity. When thought, word, and action consistently reflect abundance, you begin to embody the qualities of the person who naturally attracts, receives, and sustains provision. You think like someone who is prosperous, speak like someone who is confident and generous, and act like someone who is capable and resourceful. This internal and external coherence establishes a magnetic presence, drawing circumstances, people, and resources into your life in perfect harmony. Alignment is not simply a strategy. It is a way of being, ensuring that your abundance is covenant reality. Entire existence resonates with the flow of abundance and divine provision. Faith is not merely a belief. It is an active force that shapes reality when combined with deliberate, bold action. Many people speak of faith as a quiet internal conviction, but faith in its fullest expression requires movement, decisiveness, and engagement with the opportunities that appear in alignment with divine provision. Faith without action remains inert, while action without faith often falters under fear and uncertainty. The most transformative experiences occur when faith is paired with deliberate steps, creating a dynamic interplay that brings invisible possibilities into tangible manifestation. Faith in action transforms hesitation into opportunity, doubt into clarity, and potential into measurable results. The first element of putting faith into action is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. When you believe that supply is constant and that the lifeline of abundance supports you, you are empowered to move forward, even when circumstances appear uncertain or challenges seem daunting. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, but faith provides a perspective that elevates the mind beyond immediate appearances. By acting courageously, you demonstrate trust in the unseen, signaling readiness to receive and participate in the unfolding of provision. Every courageous step reinforces belief, strengthens resolve, and opens doors that inaction would leave closed. Clarity of intention is essential when combining faith with action. Faith provides confidence in the source of supply, but clarity of purpose directs energy toward meaningful goals. Action without clarity can dissipate effort, scatter focus, and delay manifestation. By defining what you intend to achieve, visualizing the desired outcome, and identifying actionable steps, you create a roadmap that aligns belief with practice. Intentional action ensures that energy is not wasted and that every effort contributes to the realization of the abundant life promised by faith. Clarity sharpens focus, reduces hesitation, and maximizes the impact of every step taken in trust. Preparedness enhances faith in action. While faith encourages bold movement, preparation ensures that action is effective. This involves developing skills, acquiring knowledge, nurturing relationships, and building resources necessary to respond to opportunities. Faith does not bypass preparation. It complements it by infusing confidence and determination into every effort. Preparedness ensures that when opportunity presents itself, you are ready to recognize, embrace, and utilize it fully. Acting without preparation may yield partial results, but faith combined with readiness produces outcomes that are consistent, sustainable, and multiplied over time. The role of discernment in faith-driven action is vital. Not every opportunity that appears requires immediate engagement. Some doors are not yet aligned with divine timing. Discernment allows you to act boldly where alignment exists, while waiting patiently where the timing is not yet perfect. Faith informs discernment by providing inner guidance, intuition, and confidence that the right actions at the right moment will produce optimal results. Moving without discernment may lead to wasted effort or misaligned outcomes, but acting with both faith and wisdom ensures that every step taken contributes to the realization of abundance in the most effective way possible. Persistence is a cornerstone of faith in action. Challenges, setbacks, and delays are inevitable, but persistence sustains movement toward the goal. Faith reinforces persistence by reminding you that supply is continuous, that setbacks are temporary, and that the lifeline supporting you is unbroken. Each step, even if small, is a declaration of trust and a reinforcement of belief. Persistent action signals to both the subconscious mind and the unseen forces that you are committed to receiving the abundance intended for you, generating momentum that accelerates manifestation. Faith in action requires adaptability. Life is dynamic. Circumstances change and unexpected challenges arise. Acting boldly does not mean rigid adherence to a single plan. It means moving with confidence while remaining flexible and responsive to the flow of events. Faith provides the assurance that resources, guidance, and solutions will be provided as needed, allowing you to adjust strategies without fear of losing momentum. Adaptability ensures that action remains aligned with intention, even when external conditions shift, maintaining the forward movement necessary for manifestation. Bold action inspired by faith also encourages risk. Taking fear often limits action to the safe, predictable, and familiar. Faith, however, expands perception beyond immediate constraints, revealing opportunities that may seem hidden or intimidating. Acting in faith allows you to step into new ventures, explore creative solutions, and embrace challenges that lead to exponential growth. Risk becomes a calculated extension of trust, not a reckless gamble, because faith provides confidence in the unseen support available to navigate the journey successfully. Visualization and affirmations strengthen faith-driven action. By consistently imagining successful outcomes and affirming provision, you reinforce belief and focus your energy on desired results. Visualization prepares the mind to recognize opportunities and solutions, while affirmations reinforce your trust in the lifeline of abundance. Together they prime both conscious and subconscious levels for decisive action, ensuring that movement is purposeful, confident, and aligned with the reality you wish to manifest. Taking action in faith also transforms the perception of obstacles. What may appear as a barrier is often a test of persistence, preparation, or discernment. Faith provides the perspective that every challenge is temporary and serves a greater purpose in the orchestration of provision. Acting in this mindset allows you to approach difficulties with creativity, patience, and resilience, turning potential setbacks into stepping stones toward abundance. Obstacles are no longer threats, but opportunities to exercise faith, build character, and refine strategies. Faith-driven action amplifies the law of reciprocity. When you act boldly in alignment with your vision, resources, opportunities, and support begin to flow in response. The universe responds to initiative, preparation, and trust, moving circumstances to match the momentum of your efforts. Every decisive step taken in faith attracts additional avenues of provision, creating a compounding effect that accelerates progress. In this way, action becomes both a demonstration of belief and a mechanism through which abundance is drawn into tangible form. Gratitude enhances faith in action. Recognizing and appreciating the provision that is already present reinforces belief and motivates continued movement. Gratitude shifts focus from lack to abundance, energizing action with confidence and positivity. By acknowledging every resource, opportunity, and step already in place, you strengthen the connection to the lifeline that sustains you, ensuring that action is fueled by expectation rather than fear. This integration of faith, action, and gratitude creates a powerful cycle in which belief, movement, and recognition feed one another, magnifying results exponentially. Faith in action also cultivates resilience and emotional stability. Bold action guided by trust allows you to navigate uncertainty with calm assurance. failures or delays are no longer discouraging because you understand that supply is constant and that each step contributes to the ultimate manifestation of your vision. Emotional stability ensures that energy remains focused, decisions remain clear, and momentum is maintained even when circumstances seem contrary. Faith transforms challenges into opportunities for growth, learning, and refinement, ensuring that setbacks do not derail the flow of abundance. Faith in action transforms identity. Those who consistently act in alignment with belief in provision begin to embody the qualities of someone who is naturally abundant, decisive, and capable. Actions shape habits, habits shape character, and character shapes destiny. By moving boldly while trusting the lifeline, you align your external reality with the internal truth of supply, creating a life in which abundance is not only received but sustained. Faith becomes a lived experience, an active force that turns potential into reality, and a magnet that draws opportunities, resources, and blessings into consistent manifestation. Stewardship is the art and responsibility of managing the blessings, resources, and opportunities entrusted to you in a way that maximizes their impact and ensures their growth. Abundance is not merely the act of receiving. It is the ability to cultivate, preserve, and multiply what has been provided. Many people receive blessings and resources yet fail to steward them effectively, which limits their potential to expand. True abundance flows not only through receiving, but also through conscious management, careful planning, and intentional action that turns provision into sustained prosperity. Stewardship is therefore a critical principle for anyone committed to living in alignment. No storm can cut the flow of supply, with the lifeline of supply and the laws of abundance. The first principle of stewardship is awareness. You must know what has been entrusted to you, your skills, finances, time, relationships, and opportunities. Awareness is the foundation for effective management. Without clarity about what you possess, it is impossible to allocate resources efficiently or to identify areas of growth and improvement. Awareness also fosters gratitude, which strengthens alignment with the flow of abundance. Recognizing the extent of your resources allows you to make decisions from a place of fullness rather than scarcity, ensuring that your actions amplify rather than dissipate the blessings in your care. Organization and planning are essential components of stewardship. Effective management of abundance requires strategy, prioritization, and foresight. Just as a farmer plans the planting, nurturing, and harvesting of crops to maximize yield, so too must you plan how to deploy your resources in ways that generate the greatest return. This involves setting clear objectives, creating actionable steps, and establishing systems that track progress and identify opportunities for improvement. Stewardship is proactive, not reactive. It anticipates challenges, positions resources strategically, and ensures that each blessing is utilized to its fullest potential. Accountability is another critical element of stewardship. Taking responsibility for the resources and opportunities you have received ensures that they are not wasted, mismanaged, or neglected. Accountability is both internal and external. Internally, it requires self-discipline, integrity, and reflection to ensure that decisions align with long-term goals and values. Externally, it may involve guidance, mentorship, or reporting to others who support growth and responsible management. Accountability transforms possession into purpose, ensuring that abundance is used wisely and multiplied rather than squandered. Generosity is a vital aspect of effective stewardship. Abundance is not hoarded. It flows when it is shared, invested, and reinvested in ways that produce growth. Generosity is not merely charity. It is a deliberate allocation of resources to create value for others and amplify the overall impact of provision. When you give with intention, whether through time, talent, or treasure, you participate in a cycle of abundance in which giving generates more opportunities, opens doors, and strengthens connection. Stewardship recognizes that multiplying resources is not just for personal benefit, but for the expansion of collective good. Stewardship also requires discernment. Not all opportunities or ways of managing resources lead to multiplication. Some can deplete or dissipate value. Discernment allows you to evaluate potential actions, investments, or projects in light of their long-term impact and alignment with your purpose. This requires intuition, experience, and sometimes guidance from trusted mentors or principles of wisdom. Effective stewardship ensures that each decision contributes to growth, preservation, and alignment with the broader vision of abundance, rather than merely addressing immediate desires or impulses. Time management is a key aspect of stewardship. Time is one of the most valuable resources entrusted to you, and how it is allocated determines the effectiveness of all other forms of abundance. Prioritizing activities that align with goals, eliminate waste, and enhance growth is essential for maximizing provision. Stewardship involves intentional use of time to nurture relationships, develop skills, pursue opportunities, and manage material resources. Time, when stewarded well, multiplies effectiveness and ensures that energy is directed toward what matters most. Financial stewardship is a tangible application of this principle. Managing money responsibly, investing wisely, and creating systems for growth transforms provision into long-term abundance. Financial stewardship involves budgeting, saving, investing, and planning for future needs, while also creating capacity for generosity. Poor management can diminish even substantial resources. While disciplined, intentional stewardship creates leverage, security, and exponential growth. Money is a tool, and wise management transforms it into a vehicle for personal and collective prosperity. Stewardship extends beyond material resources to include relationships and influence. People, networks, and connections are blessings that require care, attention, and cultivation. Nurturing relationships with integrity, respect, and generosity ensures that they grow in strength and value over time. Influence, when managed responsibly, can create opportunities, solve problems, and inspire others to act in alignment with shared goals. Stewardship recognizes that every blessing, tangible or intangible, carries responsibility, and its proper management multiplies both impact and opportunity. The principle of sustainability is central to stewardship. Abundance is not meaningful if it is temporary or fleeting. Stewardship involves creating systems and practices that preserve and multiply resources over time. This may include reinvestment, education, skill development, or mentorship, ensuring that every blessing continues to grow rather than diminish. Sustainable stewardship balances immediate needs with long-term growth, creating a legacy of abundance that extends beyond individual benefit to impact communities and future generations. Stewardship requires patience and discipline. Growth, multiplication, and manifestation rarely occur instantly. Resources must be nurtured, relationships cultivated, and strategies executed over time. Impatience or hasty decision-making can squander potential and disrupt the flow of abundance. Faith aligned with stewardship encourages patience by trusting that the lifeline of provision will continue to supply, and that consistent disciplined management will yield the highest return. Discipline ensures that actions remain intentional, focused, and aligned with long-term vision even in the face of temporary distractions or challenges. Reflection and learning are integral to effective stewardship. Periodic assessment of how resources, identity in abundance, opportunities, and blessings are managed allows for course correction, improvement, and innovation. Mistakes, setbacks, or misallocations provide valuable lessons that strengthen future decision-making. Reflection ensures that stewardship is dynamic rather than static, continuously evolving to maximize growth and align with the unfolding flow of abundance. The ability to learn and adapt is a hallmark of those who multiply provision rather than simply consume it. Stewardship cultivates a mindset of responsibility rather than entitlement, recognizing that resources, opportunities, and blessings are entrusted rather than simply acquired encourages careful management, thoughtful decision-making, and alignment with purpose. Entitlement often leads to waste, mismanagement, or complacency, whereas stewardship fosters engagement, creativity, and accountability. This mindset ensures that abundance is treated as a living force to be nurtured and multiplied, not as a possession to be hoarded or squandered. Faith underpins effective stewardship. Trust in the lifeline of provision ensures that resources are managed wisely without fear of scarcity. Faith allows bold, confident decisions while maintaining an awareness that the source of supply is infinite and responsive. This trust prevents hoarding, encourages generosity, and enables action that multiplies blessings rather than depleting them. Stewardship guided by faith ensures that resources are allocated in alignment with purpose, vision, and the greater good, creating a continuous flow of provision that benefits both the steward and those touched by the abundance. Stewardship transforms abundance from a temporary gift into a sustainable multiplying force through awareness, planning, accountability, generosity, discernment, and faith. Every resource, relationship, and opportunity can be managed to produce maximum impact. Stewardship turns possession into purpose, receipt into multiplication, and potential into tangible lasting prosperity. It is the conscious practice of caring for what is entrusted, ensuring that abundance flows not only to you but through you, leaving a legacy of provision, growth, and transformative influence that resonates far beyond the individual. As we draw this journey to a close, take a deep breath and feel the truth of what has been shared. Settle within you. Every principle, every key point, every insight is not just information. It is a blueprint, a living map for aligning your life with the infinite lifeline of provision and abundance. Understand this. Abundance is not something you chase. It is something you allow. It flows to you naturally when your thoughts, words, actions, and heart are in harmony with the universal principles that govern supply. You are not dependent on external circumstances, timing, or approval. Your access to the lifeline is constant, unfailing, and limitless. As you step forward, carry these truths as anchors. Gratitude transforms your perception and multiplies what you already have. Visualization programs your mind for success. Alignment ensures that your inner and outer life resonate with abundance. And faith in action allows bold, confident steps that activate opportunities and provision. Stewardship reminds you that abundance is both a gift and a responsibility meant to be managed, multiplied, and shared. Together, these principles form a powerful framework that empowers you to create a life of freedom, joy, and unlimited possibility. Remember, the lifeline of abundance is always at work. Final declarations of breakthrough. Even when the evidence is not visible, challenges, delays, and setbacks are not denials. They are part of the divine orchestration, preparing you for your fullest manifestation. Trust this process. Move boldly with faith. Act with purpose and nurture every blessing with wisdom, discipline, and gratitude. When you do not merely receive abundance. You become abundance, a living demonstration of the limitless provision that flows from the source of all life. So stand today with unwavering confidence. Speak with words of faith. Think with clarity and positivity. Act with purpose and manage your blessings wisely. The universe responds to the harmony of your inner alignment, the courage of your faith, and the integrity of your stewardship. Open your heart fully to receive, your hands to give, and your mind to see the infinite possibilities before you. Abundance is not a dream waiting somewhere in the future. It is your reality right here, right now, in every season of your life. Embrace it, claim it, live it. You are the manifestation of limitless supply, and your lifeline of abundance will never fail.